let's wait 1 minute and then we can start anyway, because I know from experience it's joining more and more during between 7 to 7:30. But anyway, I think we need to start on time, and I will make the introduction soon. So for the people who are here, I welcome everybody. And if you have any questions, yes, please use the chat. It's going to be easier for people presenting and myself to moderate and to have your question actually answered. And so yes, good evening, good morning. I don't know for all the people here, but very nice meeting you all. Thank you very much for joining our 10th edition of this Blockchain for Enterprise meetup, the Bangkok edition. We started last October. As I mentioned, Jana was here for the first one. And we grew actually this meetup with a lot of different companies. We started with finance, supply chain, but all the time it was about bringing actually blockchain use cases for enterprises and try to show to everybody that different scope, different industries are adopting blockchain, and this is why we started this meetup. First, my name is Maxime Paul. I'm the CMO of Atato. We are a blockchain service provider based in Bangkok, and we basically develop blockchain solution for enterprises. And we decided actually we wanted to create something for the community here in order to invite other projects, other industries to really share with everybody about the blockchain project. I think we are in a new industry, and it's very important that we share all what's going on in different fields. We had the pleasure to receive very nice names, big names like Kasikorn Bank a few months ago, all the consensus company, MetaMask, Pegasus, Kaleido, but also some local Thai companies. I know Jana is almost Thai, but we had company like Kulap, like Finema, which actually presented their project. And we don't want to restrict this meetup to only Thailand. We really want to have something a bit more global. I believe that especially during the COVID situation, people are joining online most of the time, and this is actually growing our meetup a bit bigger. So thank you very much for everybody who joined. Tonight, we have the pleasure to receive two companies for this meetup, which is blockchain and IoT. This is the first time actually we are going to go into this field, I would say, during our meetups. So we have Miss Jana Bulkin, which will be our first presenter from IntegrationWorks Asia, based in Bangkok, but tonight she's in Munich. And we will have Dominic Letz, also German, based in Berlin, but from a company Diode, based also in Taiwan. So we will start with Jana, but first I would like to thank you, Teresa, from BlockQuick, our partner, to help us about the Thai community. So we'll let just a few words for Teresa to say hi, and then we're going to start.
Yeah, hi everyone, and hi Max. Thanks for introducing about us. So I'm Teresa. I'm actually from BlockQuick. So BlockQuick, we are actually combine the word blockchain plus newspaper. So we aim to be the leading data expert and media community in Southeast Asia. So we have team from Hong Kong, Taiwan, China, Vietnam, and Thailand. So on our website, we actually provide Thai and Vietnamese, also Chinese and English. And it's thank you for having us, and yeah, thank you for everybody to join. And yeah, so it's glad to meet you all tonight.
All right, thank you, Teresa, and Jana. The floor is going to be yours. And again, for the community, if you have any questions, please use the chat, and we'll ask your questions. So thank you very much, and let's start with you, Jana.
Hello together. Thank you also to Maxime for the invitation. I remember the first time we meet, and then immediately the second meeting, he said, you are also interested in to present sometimes. So I say, yes, we can do, but I need time because we are just starting with this experience, going in direction with our blockchain and IoT and so on. And now after more or less 1 year, a little bit more closer in this direction. So, and thank you to introduce also blockchain and IoT as we understand this and how it works together with the example on that. And I also invited one of our partners, Morpheus Labs from Singapore here. They are providing to us the blockchain solution where we work very close together. So I will go through, I will share my desktop. Thanks a lot. And please raise your questions if you have something. I'm very open, ask everything. And I say, no, I have no clue. Or I say, yes, maybe I have an answer. Okay, see you. I'm disabled for sharing my screen. Maybe, Maxime, you can enable me?
Yeah, sure. And give me 1 second.
Mm-hmm.
Is it okay?
No. Yes.
Yes, all right.
So please let me know when you can see it.
Sure, it's all right for us.
Okay, great. So then let me take a presentation. Oh. Okay, good. So let me just start. So as Maxime already told, I'm the CIO of IntegrationWorks Asia, and I will give you a short introduction about us and then going step by step in the direction onto the use case. Our journey, we are already since 2015 in Asia. So we have started the company in Bangkok in 2015 and step by step growing. And we are mainly an IT software and consultancy company. Doing a lot of integration parts. So that means ESB, architecture, SOA, microservices, and so on is our métier where we are at home. So this is something where we say also from integration point of view, open API, blockchain, AI, whatever, is also always linked to that, also RPA. So all these integration technologies in our portfolio or where we have an opinion to, and also we try to bring the best solutions together for our customers. Currently, we are 36 people here in Bangkok, and we have also a sister company in Berlin. So IntegrationWorks Germany is also there. So, but it's they are not in one headquarter together. We have separated philosophies, but we are supporting each other very close. As I said, also SAP consulting is one of our topics, so that we have all the, so we are on the banking sector. This was our tradition in the automotive. And now with the IoT, we decided in 2019, on the beginning of the year, we said, oh, we need a new direction. We need a new setup, also from our customer focus, not being only on the banking sector. And automotive was only poor integration and blockchain and also all the others coming around and IoT. And said, okay, also with the philosophy of Thailand 4.0, let us go in the direction of blockchain and starting IoT and starting our own product as well. So we have started to develop our own product, what we are now going to launch very soon. To our partners, beside of Morpheus Labs, we are with Siemens in Thailand and Synxonet and Mitsubishi, very close together. And where we now starting also in partnerships to be a part of the package of this vendors with the PLCs they are providing. A part of that, I already have said about this, what we are doing. So all the technologies related to integration, supporting the digitalization of the companies, the processes, and the automatization of the processes. We are here to support and also the new strategic decisions the companies are taking. So that means this is where we are. And for the industry 4.0, what here is also related to the IoT and the blockchain, we have developed the Octopus IoT software as a service platform, what we are now going at. And our answer to do a step-by-step integration of the fourth industrial revolution, if we let it call it in this way, as the German parameter is telling this, it's a German step. So other people saying it's a different way, it's the third wave and so on. But everything is about automatization, integration, and optimization finally, and have on the end the autonomous way of operations. a short overview about this, where we are, or what are the value opportunities of the mission of Industry 4.0. And this goes also along with the idea what also Thailand 4.0 is. So to have autonomous action, to be creative on the end and have the nice and new way how Thailand is working, the smart city, smart city concept, or all the smart concepts around smart energy and so on, to connect it, and also on this going along with the blockchain implementation part. So where Thailand currently, maybe what we face currently not on the first steps but it's slowly, but I think they are proven and going step by step into this direction, and then finding on the end good solutions where we can also leverage each other to find here also good opportunities. Currently, we say stage 1, connect, visualize, and monitor to get the data. This is the baseline for everything, to have the data up and running and have the data there where you can do the analysis to find out what is really happening, to go to the stage 2. So this is the focus currently of our product, the Octopus. Then to going into the direction of prediction, from knowledge to wisdom and forecasting, to do preparation of additional steps, then to the stage 4 finally, and then the autonomous way. So this is, but this is something where we also going along with our product development from the roadmap point of view. The Octopus, our platform, so where we are, at first we are connecting with the different protocols they are on the market, all the PLCs, and connecting via our edge device, what we have, where we have our own philosophy to harmonize the data transformation to the Octopus solution itself. Octopus solution then is running on the cloud infrastructure and is from the model as a software as a service component, together with the visualization layer where you can see all the data and the integration of third parties. This we are doing then with our 8 Octopoints. So Octopoints need 8 points, so where we're going ahead. So that means industry agnostic. So we have no real focus on one industry. We are cross-industry. This is also related to the integration pattern. Hardware manufacturers, all the common manufacturers they are on the market. We are currently thinking about our top 5 manufacturers where we want to connect with, and also creating our partnerships with. The protocol transformation to have a common layer from all the protocols on the market to transform to our own protocol internally to be able to do also proper integration. Octopus will run also as an on-premise solution because we are still facing on the market that people like to have the on-premise solution. Not all the data should run on the cloud. But I think also now, this is also an opportunity with this crisis, we are moving ahead, and there will be more and more cloud implementation finally. And also if you then talk about the blockchain integration, we will go into this direction more and more to think more open. Yeah. Visualization, to have every type of visualization, not just only monitoring, gathering data, but also providing virtual reality and augmented reality elements into that, what we want to integrate also in the presentation layer, so that people can do this to get a more also visualization of the data, what is ongoing in their environment. Finally, everybody has the same interest, saving costs, prevent outages, ensure then a high productivity and information availability. If you have the information, then you can act in a proper way to make the best out of your business. What are the use cases on the blockchain which are supported when blockchain can support IoT projects finally? So there are 3 major challenges from our point of view. This is one is the security, of course, to understand which are the devices they are connecting to my environment. These are really my device, and also who is providing data, and also to avoid hacker attach. So that means how to avoid that somebody is coming into my environment, because here the IT and the OT are going closer together. Octopus itself is more related to the IT department, not to the OT department. So, but both worlds are coming more and more closer together, and how to avoid that the operation part will be destroyed and attacked by somebody, then security answers, or to have to find the answers to help here with proper processes and also with protection protocols and ideas. The operations, as we see, is also, we have all the devices, we have the different levels where we are talking about, and also the ecosystem in general in such kind of projects are very complex. So you lose very soon the overview, and you need transparency, and you need to trust which part of your community is talking with your environment, and that they are fulfilling contracts you are giving in your project, in your product, in your implementation together, so that everybody understood, if I get something from partner A, what I give to partner B and to partner C, this is following dedicated contracts, where we see here also then this can be really then also supported from blockchain itself. Also to foster more and more decentralization. Legal and compliance, of course, to understand who has done what to in which time. So this is something what needs to be also documented, and is to be able to do reconciliation also in the autonomous way, finally, who has executed what in which time and in which moment, because we are still not trusting 100%, and this is good, the machines, they are doing that. Because here we have also maybe to have a 4 eyes principles to implement and so on. That depends on the situation what needs to be integrated. But on the other hand, we also say blockchain is, among others, the missing link to settle the privacy and the reliable concerns. And IoT is maybe one of the enablers of the fourth industrial revolution. So that means with such kind of immutable database structure, we are able to create a trust. And with all the good characteristic of the blockchain technologies, we can really leveraging some questions we have on the other technologies to create such kind of secure infrastructure and reliable backbone for the projects. Finally, I want to show only just on a short example, on a small example here in this case, also for what IoT in combination with the blockchain can be used. Here in this case is a supply chain example, and here's the tea production. Yeah, just we have the plantation with the teas, we do the harvesting and transportation. Everything here is also related to the weather information and the humidity and so on to create a good quality of the product finally. So this will be then transferred to the department where the drying procedure, the processing of the tea will be done, and the packaging and the storage. And here also again, how big is this the packaging, and what are the size and so on. And also related again, how are the conditions during this procedure, and on which temperature is something done, and transportation in containers finally to the retailer and the distribution. And then the end consumer can then finally get his tea he likes, and he wants to understand where this tea leaves comes from, where my bag is. So this is such kind of scenario, but also to find out in the supply chain the quality of products, to guarantee the quality of products. And this scenario can be used for several other, like wine, like other ingredients of our goods we are consuming, to get here the guarantee that we have the quality we want and we expect, and also that there is everything is true what somebody is telling on the advertisement, if you have this interest, and to trust. So this communication, it's everywhere, is the same information available anywhere and everywhere, will also create more and more trust and the quality, and maybe finally also on the pricing of such kind of products. This then finally needs some UIs, of course, and this UIs from the admin, one of this in this scenario needs to be the admin, the owner of the solution. And on this purpose, we see then such kind of solution like the Octopus platform, where all the parts can be then analyzed, and also gathering all the information together, making also for the process mining, process analysis, getting more and more information based on the analytics, and create predictive topics like also process automation topics to increase and get a faster processing and a higher and better quality for the optimization point of view. And also, of course, the so-called intelligent ERP system, so that to have here, based on the decisions, do automatic ERP procedures finally integrate with the contract point of view behind, where also the blockchain can here do a lot to create such kind of fantastic new environment for the future.
Jana, maybe I can just come back on the previous slide. I have two quick questions for you. I see a logo of Ethereum. Is it the blockchain you are using for this?
Yes.
Of course, for this example, but are you using a public or private chain? And for this supply chain example,
this is here is the private one. Is based on the Ethereum POA, so it's a private node. But more Dorel can tell here more, and this also so of all the definitions taken in this way. So this was mainly done by the Morpheus Labs team. We are just the integrator from the data point of view finally. So it's but maybe we come later.
Sure. Okay, I will let you finish, then I will come back.
Yes. To see a short overview about the architecture and all the complexity. So you see here our the blockchain, the private network, blockchain infrastructure where all the nodes are running, and everything is here managed on the Morpheus Labs blockchain platform as a service, where also the APIs are hosted to be integrated in the supply chain procedure finally. So with all the infrastructure components. And parallel, the other big infrastructure, so I want only to show also the infrastructure itself is not less complex. So you need to monitor also here everything, when you need to find a way how to monitor from an end user point of view, from a customer point of view, all the topics and also all the distributed components in your project implementation. This is the example here. So, and also just my last sentence about that. In my opinion, and also what we see is blockchain can enable the IoT, and yes, and I'm looking forward for nice projects in this as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Jana. Thank you for the presentation. And before, if people have any question on the chat, I will read them. But I have a couple one for you. And interesting Tleaf project. Is it a project that is live today already, used in Southeast Asia?
Hi, Max. Dorel from Morpheus Lab. I'm the CIO of Morpheus Lab. Yes. Yes, this solution is actually live in Southeast Asia. One of our customers is using this for proof of provenance of tea leaves. Yeah. So consumer customers are using, practically they are scanning a QR code using a mobile app, and they can see all the track of provenance of tea leaves. Yeah, so all the history, all data that is shown on the mobile application. It is nice. So to answer to your first question, if I can I? Okay. Yes, this solution was done on Ethereum private network. Private network using proof of authority consensus protocol. The owner of the authority is the owner of the supply chain network on the blockchain. Yes, it can be also in a public, can be done in a public blockchain, especially with the Ethereum 2.0 coming in. It is even easier. And if we are thinking to the baseline protocol, it's even easier. So back to this, yes, it is a live application. One of our customer, Morpheus Lab customer, using this application.
And if I can just go on this, when we are focusing on IoT devices, what were the challenge that actually we are facing building this application? I believe it was about the data concentration, or
the data concentration, and also, of course, the connectivity also of the information. So this is something to get it always up and running to the cloud, the availability also of the network and so on.
Yes, may I? As Jana showed in the last slide, there were two main blocks. One is the Octopus solution, and one is the Morpheus Lab, which is blockchain as a service platform. It is important to know that one of the challenge when you deal with a lot of data points coming from the OT devices, it is the how rapid you can process those. So the pre-processing information is important. Octopus is for that, yeah. So then synchronously, we can put a kind of oracle between the Octopus and the blockchain using our platform. So you can see the Morpheus platform running different services. Morpheus platform is actually running different blockchains protocol depending of the business. So can run on Ethereum, on Neo, other blockchain protocol, and integration between the external data coming from outside and the blockchain can be done with a solution like Oracle. Yeah. So API communication between API and blockchain network is possible. Actually, this is one of the points of Morpheus Lab platform to offer that service to integrate with the platform like Octopus. Yeah.
Okay, Dan, thank you very much. And I will just go on one more general questions. Supply chain, effectively for IoT, is one of the prime example. Where do you see any other industries actually implementing blockchain and IoT together? Have you worked on any different use cases, and maybe you can share a bit more?
Currently, yes, in the food and beverage industry as well. So we are seeing there are also some opportunities, but not more. Currently, we are more on the food and beverage and on this topic, but the others are currently not so too much to speak about.
Okay, and yes, and the last one, you already mentioned it a bit, just in case you can expand. The main challenges was the data integration. Any other challenge was running for this application?
The trust in the cloud.
Okay. And
not special for this, but in general, we face this topic in general, the trust in the cloud, the data, and also the understanding at first to collect data and then to do the analytics part. So for the analytics part is a lot of also I would say respect. Do we do too less or too much information collecting, and what we do with all the information, and then to go the next step, so that you need also the data scientists on that to get ideas, maybe also together with the marketing and so on, to find ways what you do with this data.
And one final question on this project. Thank you very much for sharing, by the way. I was just wondering, did you implement any some devices at every step of the supply chain, or it was more concentrated in the factories or processing area? Was it in the fields, from the trucks?
It's a combination. It's there. It's centralized and also on the field moving trucks. But in the moving trucks, there's also an issue behind currently. So where we also discussing is the topic about using of GPS information and how to use this. And there's also other project where we are just working on that. It's in the water industry, but it's this is something where I can't say something about this currently because it's under restriction. But the moving targets, not all the PSCs are available with geo positioning information, and to give this information further so that we can reuse it.
Okay, understood. And Teresa, do you have any questions?
Is there any potential risk for meeting some hack attack? Or like, because you use the private chain, right? So should be more safe. But I'm just wondering, is there potential risk for meeting some hack?
Okay, from technical perspective, from blockchain perspective, I can give you a short answer. As we know, as of now, blockchain per se is very, very highly difficult to hack the blockchain infrastructure. If any weakness can happen into the middleware component or into the front end or some other off-chain application. So what is most important is to develop IT part based on the best practice. Yes, never forget the best practice. Do a lot of testing and penetration testing. As Jana mentioned, cloud is getting even better. There are huge corporations now spending millions in improving the cloud solution and protection of the cloud solution and compliance of the solution. And I think now we can say Morpheus Lab is also offering a way to expand from what you said. This is for Tleaf, but you can use this example to expand in other products, and you can test it. And the easiest way is anyone can test it. So anyone can test it and can improve, can start this as a sample code and can download the sample code and can improve and see where this solution can be further improved. Yes, and for any customer.
Got it. Thank you.
And I think on the security, Dominic, our next speaker, will have some say about that. Just a question from Guillaume. Hello, Jana. Thank you very much for joining. Can you share your team's experience in working with blockchain? Any challenges, and how Morpheus Lab platform helps address some of them? If you can give us
any challenges in our team experience. We are starting just with Morpheus some months ago in this topic, so we are not the best blockchain developers today, but we are moving into this direction. So it's where Morpheus Labs can help us or is helping us is about the platform where we can have really integrated development environment, where we can manage all the projects direct in the platform, and also the connection via the API to our platform itself. So we can really do integration of both environments together from here and from the other side as well. So it's I think also the understanding what everything has to be maintained in the blockchain and what you want to have private and so on. This kind of combination we can, with our expertise and with our platform, we can fantastic address. So to have more the data you need for analytics part, to collect everything, but you didn't need to maintain all of the informations in the blockchain because it's not needed for this project. Maybe for further enhancement, yes, but this is something where you do research at first, and not putting everything somewhere.
Thanks a lot for your reply. And the last question before we move on with Dominic, there will be some chance to ask question later. And but James is asking, do you see this fitting with smart factories? If so, where do you see your strengths and weaknesses with other solutions? I think you mentioned about direct one.
Our strength is in this, that we are curious and also thinking everything is solvable via IT persons, okay? But the weakness is maybe then the knowledge about the process itself in this case. So we are more generalists in this case, So we learn a lot, but we are not a specialist of this dedicated implementation in the smart factory. So this is one maybe on the weaknesses, and but what is also good to bring the silos together and to ask the right questions to find a good solution. This is the part of the consultant, who has to work on this. So it's sorry for this generic answer, but this is what I can say. So from a development point of view, we have no weaknesses. We have a lot of strengths. We are all on the modern technologies, and even a mainframe system will not block us. Also, this knowledge is there. And on the other side, the weakness is always our self-limitations on something, if you are not open for learning something new.
That's a good answer. Thank you.
We get new partners on board as well. Yes.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for your replies. There's been some questions,
so
and maybe we will go back after in the Q&A. And but let's go on with our next presenter, if you don't mind. Thank you very much, Jana, for your presentation. Thank you, Doyle, for your explanation as well from Morpheus Lab. And
thank you.
And, yes, our next speaker, Dominic from Diode.io, and he will have some part to say on security because this is their specialty. And Dominic, is it okay for you? Can you hear us? We can't hear you, and yeah,
we can see the presentation,
right?
All right. I will just, sorry, James. Dominic, is it all right?
I think it looks good to me. Can you see my screen?
Yes, very well. We can definitely.
Wonderful.
Okay.
Yeah, that was great. Yeah, thank you so much. I think that was actually really good. And I think there's also like a bridge over to what we do. And we will connect to that in a bit. So I'm Dominic. I'm the CTO of Diode. And we're looking into how we can actually use blockchain technology for the IoT. And just to go into that a bit, my background is actually in IoT. And so we are one of the companies who moved from IoT into blockchain. And so the question for us was always like, what are the problems that blockchain can solve for us as IoT people? And if you only take away one thing from this presentation, then it should be that Diode is a company that invented BlockQuick, which is a verification algorithm for very small devices, for IoT devices. So this is what I'm showing here. BlockQuick is actually able to bring down the amount of resources that such a small IoT device needs to like 20 kilobyte. And often we have seen, if you want to do blockchain end-to-end, that this has been a big problem. So there's IOT, which I really like, good German company, by the way, and they have been able to bring that down a bit, but you still need like a car computer. You need like something massive, like a real computer, you would say. It's not really a thing that you wouldn't identify as a computer. So if you want to bring it down to a thing like the small ESP32 that we have in the picture here, you need to have like very little resource consumption, like 20 kilobytes on this. So we did that. We published that paper in May 2019. And then like we went the hard way of proving that the paper is not only a nice piece of paper, but it in fact works, and implemented that. And so you have right now the network and also the Diode client that connects using BlockQuick to this network. We're set up with offices in Berlin and Taipei. And what we do on the public side is that we want to enable mostly makers to use this, because we see this as a big enabler, not only for the enterprise, and I will talk about that, but also for makers who want to bring their small devices into the internet, build cool demos, and use like this kind of decentralized technology. This is really where I think we have not seen enough blockchain-based solutions that really do something for you, and we want to change that. And so we have released a couple of tools that you can use today. It's a public blockchain, so you can go to our website, download the client, and just start hacking if you want. So we have like video broadcasting. That is an example here we see on the left-hand side with a Raspberry Pi. So it's connecting to the blockchain, sending the data into the mesh network of all the miners, and they actually broadcast all that data. So they multiplicate that data many, many times. So a Raspberry Pi is like a pretty weak device, and by default, you can only serve a single stream. But with this demo that we have here, the network is actually replicating that, so you can have hundreds of viewers. Then we have this tool for secure time. So this is actually, for me personally, a fascinating topic. How can a machine know what the current time is? And I don't want to go too deep into this rabbit hole, but for a human, it seems very easy. For a device, it's actually pretty difficult to figure out, like, who's the authority on time? Like, how can you prove to me that this is the current time? And we found the solution in blockchain. And together with BlockQuick, that brings it down to very small devices. We have an internal version where we do VPN through the blockchain as well. And then we have a tool, again, for like the public, that is showing ngrok. This is like a developer tool, and we decentralized ngrok. So it's usually a tool where you need a centralized server, and it helps you to publish internal data to the outside world. But we have decentralized that and brought that to the blockchain. Very useful also for enterprises. If you're an enterprise and you want to use an outside testing or continuous integration tool, often your internal firewalls are preventing you from that. With Diode, you can actually use them and securely bring them into your network. So that's what the ngrok tool is doing. And of course, we have a network explorer. You can check out the transactions, the things that are going on, and also see the global network as it develops. So that's some of the apps that we have done. The question, though, when we talk to enterprises, is always like, what's the problem that the blockchain is actually solving? What's the problem we are solving? And behind that is this question, like, what is my return on investment? Why should I put money into this? What is it giving back to me? And I really like this. Actually, I saw this diagram for those people who come regularly to this meetup. Maybe you have seen this diagram before. It was on one of the OmiziGo slides. And I really like that. So you have these three sectors, the wants, the needs, and the pains for an enterprise. And we want to try to solve that in this presentation. I want to go through that. For us, for Diode, the question, what is a combination of this and this Venn diagram? What the blockchain strengths, the IoT challenges, and the enterprise needs? Where do they come together? So what's this big question mark in the middle? The answer that Diode is doing is security. And that doesn't mean, like, I really like what Jana has shown, and there's logistics, and there's like other companies that really focus on these other areas, but Diode is focusing on security. And for us, if you come to us, like, this is what we do, and this is what we help to improve for companies. And I want to walk through that a little bit. So who is aware what this is here about? I think we don't have open mics, but I see Maxime smiling already.
It's the hack of Twitter.
On Twitter, exactly. And the hack on Twitter is a really curious one. It's a really good example of what we want to talk about. So if you have a typical IoT deployment, and I'm sorry for the complexity on this, but if you have a typical IoT deployment from, like, you have some admins, you have a central server, you have some gateways, you have some communication, and then down there an IoT device that talks to it. On that side, you have a couple of attack vectors. And I numbered them here and marked them a little bit with like a $sign, just to show how easy or how cheap it is for an attacker to use them. So social engineering is usually the cheapest way of attack. You try to get somebody in contact with somebody who has actually the root password, the master password for the server. And you will see this through our slides here, that this person, this role, and you have him in any enterprise, is like a really big problem right now in the industry. Enterprises often on the outside implement a lot of compliance protocols, but if you dive on the inside, you will find that there's a couple of these administrators, these people in the IT department that have full control, that actually can see all the data, have the root password for the databases, can make all these changes. And that's a pattern we will see here repeat. The second attack vector is the service itself. So you can have bugs in the service. Usually what happens is you have your core competency, that's your enterprise software, but that runs on a platform. Maybe it's Windows, maybe it's Linux. Platform has a gate. It has like a non-patched issue, and people are able to enter it through that. And then the third one is the way down to the device, and the last is the device itself, obviously also attackable. And these are graded from, like, these up here are really easy to attack, and then it's getting harder because here actually you need to know something about the device. And on the left-hand side, and today I'm not going to talk a lot about that, but on the left-hand side, we have all the infrastructure of the internet itself that can also be attacked. We've also seen attacks on that, but they're becoming way more expensive, right? So the things we need to fix first is like these easy, cheap attacks that we see up here. And guess what? If you want to do that, there's actually a lot of integration that is necessary. So if you want to replace the admin, right, and take away this root access from people who have access to everything, we have to bring new solutions in. And so for Diode, what we did is we set up this integrated solution that has like the server smart contract components in a public chain. It has a IoT device agent. So this is where we run BlockQuick, and this is what you can download from our website. It's a Go client, and you can try that out. And the apps to actually control and do the things you do. So for automation, for fleet management, name management, all of that. So this is a tool chain you need, in our belief, to upgrade that security. And if you do that, if you start implementing that, and you use smart contracts instead of like the single admin, you actually can get rid of this problem here. So we believe that the future enterprises that go with blockchain for security can completely get rid of the admin that has the root password. And this is not only a problem of Twitter and other companies, this is even a problem for the NSA. Think like Edward Snowden. Like these people that have access to everything, they're everywhere, in every government, in every official organization, because today we are in this strange inverse where the people deepest in the organization have like most access, and that we need to change. Interestingly, actually Twitter, after they followed up, they mentioned this. They said they found it was a social engineering attack. So they have people inside their company who can reset and actually impersonate every single person on Twitter. This is usually, it's a pretty common case. It usually happens in support. That's where we see this a lot. So you have like support people, and these support people have extraordinarily large permissions because they have some access to the central system. So on the good side, that helps them to reset the password if somebody has forgotten the password, or enables them to help the users. But often they have way too big permissions because they're directly connected to the admins and directly connected to the root of it. It's exactly what happened here. And I have to say, like at this point in time, with all the technology we know from blockchain, there's really no reason why such a big company as Twitter should still face this problem. The second one here is, and I mentioned that, like if you move your logic that you have, and usually the business logic that you have is very specialized, and it's surrounded by a platform like Linux or Windows. If you move that out of that Windows or Linux and instead move it into a smart contract and deploy it on the blockchain, then you can get rid of the attack vector here. You can get rid of the attack vector on the server. There's still like a smaller attack vector. That is, if somebody's able to hack the whole blockchain, they still can do funny stuff. But all these small zero-day exploits, all these bugs you find every week in Windows or Linux or any of the other platforms, you can get rid of those. And this is tremendously important because these attacks are happening. So I don't know who's aware of this attack, but Garmin was down last week, and Garmin is still in the process of getting up again. But their servers were attacked, they were taken over, and the whole outside ecosystem of Garmin was down. So if you have a Garmin smartwatch or you have any Garmin tracker, it couldn't reach the servers. And this is incredible because sometimes it's the internal systems, and you understand that, like it's inside the office and somebody takes over your internal computers. But it's really not necessary anymore that your outside services are controllable by single passwords or single users, or like a single machine can be taken over and everything goes down. So this is the second here. The third level is the gateway, that like the communication path from the IoT device to the cloud. And so I said earlier, we are like a believer in end-to-end blockchain. And so that's really important that you also do an end-to-end encryption. And even though I think this just falls under the category, this is obviously what you should be doing, you wouldn't believe how often we see people still using clear text or outdated encryption, or just like funny encryption that turns out just to be obfuscation and no encryption. We're using in the Diode integrated solution Ethereum keys. So we're actually creating end-to-end encryption using Ethereum keys because they are public-private key pairs, so you can know whom you're connecting to. And if you try that out, if you get the client and you can actually do peer-to-peer connections, they will be end-to-end encrypted. And there's really no one who can hack it. And if there's somebody who can hack it, then he has a much bigger target. He could actually drain all the Ethereum money in the world. So I think we will know once this encryption is hacked. The last one here is the network intrusion. And it's, again, like on IoT devices, we see this as very often. They have opened some funny ports. Anybody can access these ports. Often, like just recently, a telnet port on Wi-Fi on routers, for example. Then they can be access through that and being taken over. Also not necessary. The Diode agent that we install, what it actually does is it tunnels all connections through the end-to-end encryption. And so even if you want to connect to the device, you have to authenticate using, again, an Ethereum key. So we make that a primary citizen. We exchange, in technical terms, we exchange the IP addressing with Ethereum key addressing. So everywhere when currently you're using IP addresses to talk to a device and maybe clear text, you're going to use Ethereum keys primarily. And that also enables us to address IoT devices everywhere in the world. So no matter where your device is, because it's an Ethereum key and address is staying the same, we can address it there and connect securely to it, knowing we're actually talking to the device we want to talk to. And with this, we can get rid of all these cheapest levels of attacks here. And that is really, really important. Now, on the left-hand side, and I want to be a bit quick on that, we have seen attacks on like big organizations, so these crime organizations taking over DNS servers and time servers, because that helps them to run large-scale phishing attacks. So there was this Brazilian attack, for example, the classical IOT device hack, where people hacked into Wi-Fi routers of consumers. That happened in 2018, and they used then these routers to redirect the DNS entries. And because DNS in the current internet infrastructure, this is really a Web 2 problem, is not encrypted and is not authenticated, you can just, if you have the access in the middle, you can just redirect that. So they would send them to a different banking website, they would enter the banking credentials, but they would actually issue transfers to like the criminals and not bank transfers as they wanted to buy their stuff. Big attack vector, but again, this is already as an attack vector where the organization running the attack against you needs to take some more money into hand and organize it. And then the last level here, just real quick, we see that attacks against the certificate authorities and against routing are also happening. If you are a relatively small company, you probably don't have to worry about that too much. But if you're a big enterprise like Twitter, like Facebook, or like a big industrial company as well, you probably have to worry about that because we know this happens. So an example here, for example, this is a fake certificate for Facebook. There's actually, for Facebook, it's probably the one company with the most fake certificates on the planet. India created fake certificates for Facebook. This is Kazakhstan creating fake certificates for Facebook because they're curious about who is actually posting what about them. So what the game it works is, usually you create with certificates secure end-to-end connections. But if an authority says, well, I give you a certificate and I approve this as valid, your browser's gonna accept it, even though it's not valid. And so they can read, in this case, Kazakhstan or India can read all the traffic in between. And the certificate authorities are a really interesting thing because they are like an inheritance from 1997 when the internet really started to be encrypted. And this system, unfortunately, is an access-all system. So if you get a root certificate, and usually every country wants to have at least one or multiple ones, this root certificate can be used to sign any domain name. So you see that if you go to yourbank.com and it's a green bar, that is certified by somebody. And usually you will see VeriSign, or you will see Komodo, or you will see Let's Encrypt, because these are the most common ones. And if it's legit, it's probably one of those. But actually there's over 3,000 and all of them can sign. And in politics, it's obviously like a big problem. Like, how can you argue, hey, you small country, you should not get a root key. Only we Western countries should have root keys, right? Politically, this doesn't work. So you have to give basically everybody a root key. So what happens if you give everybody a root key? Like, everybody can log in, right? I guess like the trust level on some of these companies is pretty high, but not on all of them. And you need to ensure that not only you trust all of them, but also all of them have really good internal security. So, because what we see in industrial attacks that people don't misuse them, but they're getting those keys stolen. So in Germany, for example, we have tons of these keys. In Taiwan, we have keys. We have everywhere these keys. They can physically be stolen and be misused. Again, this is high-level attacks. So this actually costs money. We know, for example, now in the from the history that the US, for example, stole root keys from Realtek in Taiwan, and then used these to sign viruses to be implanted on the virus attack on Iran on the plutonium enrichment. And so this is very, very high level. So unless you're on that level, you probably don't have to worry about it. But if you're like one of the top 10 or top 100 companies, there's something to be aware of. Also be aware of that this is actually happening all the time. So we know, for example, that China is regularly misdirecting traffic. So this is an example from a report from Oracle, 2005. This is basically where it started. It was the first big one. So what they were doing, again, this is basic internet infrastructure that is today still totally unauthenticated. So what happens is all these routers in the internet, they try to define, I want to talk to Maxime, what is the shortest route to Maxime? And the routers cooperate. So they say like, hey, I have a short route to Maxime. And then they say, okay, then I'm going to take this. But this is a purely cooperative and I would say optimistic protocol. And so what these Chinese servers said is, they said, hey, you want to talk to Los Angeles? Or Los Angeles wants to talk to Washington? I got the shortest route here in Peking. Really, I got the shortest route. Just send the traffic to me. And this is what they did. So they sent the traffic over there. It runs through China and then it goes back. So to run all of this up, there's a lot of things still happening. We see this really low-level attacks, and we see this high-level attacks. And all of these that we just went through can actually be solved with blockchain, at the very core of like using blockchain crypto. And this is what we're driving for. And so we believe to come back to this value propositions here, the ones often for companies are lower cost. And I can attest to you that you get lower cost actually. If you solve the admin problem and you solve like the problem of like the operations, you get much lower cost. Because actually, if you don't run your own servers, not only you get rid of the security holes, but you also get rid of all the human resources that you need to run them, like all the operations, all the admins, all the maintenance. If you leverage the Ethereum public network, you don't need to run your own servers there. The needs, as I pointed out, security. I think this should be obvious. I don't know why there isn't like companies should really optimistically spend more on that. But we see this with Garmin, we see this with Twitter. There's one impact every month, and it's every time the same. Somebody socially engineered an admin. And the big pains that we see in adoption of blockchain solutions is the tokenomics, right? So this, you talk to managers in enterprises, and they're like, oh, is there a token involved? And do I have to talk to the Fed? And I really don't want to touch the stuff if there's a token. So this is still a problem we face. And we're curious to discuss that and see like how you manage, for example, to navigate these waters. I have a bit more, Maxime, on like the next steps, but only if there's questions. Otherwise, I would summarize it probably. If to take away.
I have questions, but I think you can finish. It's very interesting actually, and so I will let you go on, and we can go down the Q&A after. But please go on.
Yeah, just like if you only take away two things from this slide deck, okay. Diode is a company who invented BlockQuick, and the only company that enables end-to-end connection to IoT devices. There's like honorable mentions like IOTA, but if you look at it in detail, the only end-to-end blockchain connection is Diode right now. There's nothing else on the market. The second thing to take away, we have as an industry to solve the admin problem. Like these security attacks on Garmin, on Twitter, on all these companies, and then taking over accounts, it just has to stop. It's not necessary anymore. If like blockchain can only achieve that, I think we have done so much good for the industry. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
Well, okay, but first, thank you so much, Dominic. Actually, it was a very impressive presentation. And first, I will ask the first questions, but please don't be shy in the chat to ask questions for Dominic. And first, one thing that I really liked in your presentation is you mentioned about the return on investment. I think it should be one thing mandatory that that we do now in our blockchain meetups, because it's really what talks to people when we are talking about blockchain for enterprises. But Regarding my question, I will start with one first, and you mentioned it a bit about IOTA. It's a company that a lot of people know, and they are running their own blockchain, which is not what Diode do. Can you elaborate a bit about your differences and the project?
Yeah, I mean, Diode is a big German project, or big German company as well. And I like a lot of what they do. They have good technology, but I think they also have invested in some of the wrong things and made some wrong decisions. I mean, we looked at them very initially before we really started developing Diode. And the problems we saw were, the first problem is really, they don't have smart contracts built in. There's like a lot of additions, but then the security guarantees are not sure. The second problem is they actually do not have an IoT client. So if you check that out, they have two things. They have their normal client that is actually connecting to the Tangle, but you can't run that on a small device. You need like 8 gigabytes of RAM. You need lots of storage. They do have what they call like an embedded client, but this is just using a proxy. So this embedded client, you put it on a device, it does nothing. It only connects to another full server and then trust that. So it's a centralized solution. You just take your full server, your centralized server, and you talk to that. The problem with that is you get exactly the same trust problems as before, because this full server has one admin. And if that one admin gets like an email with click here, you're gone down the same rabbit hole. And the third problem is like their centralization. So I think they're solving it now, but you read about the coordinator and that, and it's just really sad. So these are the reasons for us. I really hope that they're gonna improve on that, and I think they're working.
Okay, well, thank you very much for clarifying. And I have one question before we go for the next. Yeah, solving the admin issue, which is what you are trying to do, right? What do you think would it take for companies such as Twitter to implement Diode or implement blockchain to solve this problem? Do you see it coming in 1 or 2 years, or in the next 5 to 10?
I think really what it needs is willpower. So this is I know, you know, like in France, they just started constructing the fusion reactor, the first fusion reactor in the world. And
it's not a good example.
So I think if you can build a fusion reactor in 5 years, then you should be able to implement like multi-sign authentication. That's all you need for a lot of these, like the Twitter problem. You just need to ensure that if you have a support person, and he should be able to reset who has access to the account, you just want multi-sign. One guy cannot do it alone. Like if you want to reset the ownership of the Elon Musk Twitter account, not one support person can do it alone. You know, that's all you need. I think you can probably do it in 6 months. You know, but right. the problem is with the willpower.
Okay. And yeah, Guillaume has a question, and thanks you for your presentation. Yes, let's talk a bit about BlockQuick. Seems to be an extension of Ethereum for Nano client. Is it correct? Is the underlying network the Ethereum mainnet?
So this is correct. So it is, and you can see that in the paper. It's an extension to the Ethereum network, and it does a change. It's a different client protocol, and it does a change to the block headers. So there's a new entry in the block header. There's actually a cryptographically signed signature in the block header. And because of this change in the block header, it's a fork of the Ethereum chain. So what we have launched, this network that I mentioned, is actually that fork to prove that it's functioning. And also, if you go to the Explorer and if you try any of these demos, it's going to use that fork. But it's also public chain.
Okay, thanks a lot for your reply. And Teresa, anything?
Yeah. So yeah. So other than Max just asked about the client side, then what are some of the application can be created on Diode?
Yeah, I think there's really like two sides to that. So I think on one side, we want to position in enterprise, especially like where we say like there's this added value where you can keep doing what you do, like actually run your business and keep running what you do. You don't have to add bells and whistles, but you can. We take these 8 vectors of attacks that we talked about, and you can eradicate them. They're just going to be history, and this is never going to hit you again, right? Mm-hmm. So this is one thing you can do. And part of that is, I mentioned, like multi-sign wallets, for example, are really important, but also the ability just to deploy the blockchain everywhere is important, because if you can't deploy it on your small devices, you have a problem with the rollout and you still leave these gates open. So this enables on the, if you add like bells and whistles, and I think that was a bit of your question, like what are the new apps we're enabling? And this is where we look at the maker space, because with the like decentralizing the security, but also decentralizing network communication, we believe that there's a whole new range of applications possible, where you can take small, like home-built solutions, or like solutions that are actually in like in local deployments, like in servers that run under your table, or that run in like some small organization or not-profit organization. But now you can still offer a globally secured service without depending on all these intermediates, and actually at much lower cost, we believe, as well. Because you don't need this guy, you don't need to hire AWS, and you don't need to hire DevOps people anymore. You can actually bring some of that to small organizations. And this is what we want to show, and this is what we do, why we do these makerspace projects, so that we can actually also try that out for ourselves. Does it actually work, and can you do that? So if you're into Raspberry Pi, I can really, I'm happy to help you as well with these kind of projects, and we do that actually a lot in our Telegram channel and discuss that.
Okay, thank you.
And yeah, Guillaume was just following. He said, are you planning to follow on Ethereum development for Ethereum 2?
Yeah, definitely. So we follow everything that Ethereum is doing, and we believe they're on the right track. We think they are the right ecosystem. We believe they're generally moving in the right direction, and so yeah, we just follow. I mean, there's obviously like this big scale up discussion, and we're looking forward to that with Ethereum too. There's a couple of questions that we need still to figure out how to move BlockQuick itself to Ethereum 2, but I think we're going to do it. I mean, it seems we still have some time before actually Ethereum 2 launches. So I think we have time also to figure that out.
Yeah, you're right. And yeah, James is asking, I'm running a live ramp server over Diode and running over a second network, L4 or L7, ramp, not ramp.
I didn't understand the last part of the question, ramp or not to ramp?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. It's RTMP, so I'm having problems with my fingers.
Okay.
I don't know where ramp came from. I think I must have a spell thing going on.
Yeah, I think RTMP is really good. So this is we're pretty technical here, so I sorry if not everybody can follow. But there's if you stream videos, there's like this the standard RTMP, and that's really good because it's very compatible and it's HTTP based. But it also like the way you can cache it and the way you can broadcast is very different. So what we are doing in the Raspberry Pi demos, and James, you might have seen that, is that we actually don't use RTMP, but we stream the binary data via WebSockets directly into the client. And that enables the network actually to broadcast. So it's actually duplicating the data byte by byte, or original byte by byte. And through this broadcasting, we get a very high efficiency. So you can broadcast to hundreds of clients because it's just copying the bytes. If you do RTMP, it's more difficult because for every person, they're fetching the same fragment, the same file, but everyone creates its own HTTPS connection. So you need to establish a new TLS handshake and a new like end-to-end encryption for each of them.
Exactly.
So that's kind of the difference.
Exactly, Dominic. Just on that point, I'm running my own layer 4 over layer 7 from a peering exchange, and side by side, I was about how RTMP would behave across the diode side of things, and I'm pleasantly surprised that there doesn't seem to be very much difference, to be honest. It actually runs and behaves extremely well. I've been running, I think, for the last 24 hours, and it's running side by side almost real time. There's very difference in lag and latency in terms of how the actual stream is getting out there. There might be a few seconds here or there, but that might be client connect type side of
That's
things.
cool.
But from my side, it's looking good. So I'm looking to explore RTMP because obviously I've got Dash and HLS, HTTPS running there very easily, right? So I'll get into the RTMP reverse side of it fairly soon. But I'm pleased to say I only got involved with Diode maybe 2 days ago. So this RTMP live streaming server got up and running within, I think I got it running within about maybe 45 minutes. So
awesome.
that was a big shock for me as to how easy it was to actually get that running on my side. Okay.
Great user feedback.
Yeah.
Thanks, James. Yeah, I'm curious about, maybe we can discuss that offline, James, but I'm really curious actually to driving that up and curious to see like where it fails apart as well. I think this is awesome.
And can you, Guillaume is asking again if can you show an example of customer running their apps on Diode network now and what they are using it for? Thanks. That was going to be my question.
Yeah, exactly. So on the Raspberry Pis and like the Maker projects, you can check that out on the Explorer that we have, the Network Explorer. On the enterprise side, we're not talking on like what we're in discussions with, but I can tell you it's like coming back to the question that I mentioned earlier, like the tokenomics question mark that we find is still a big obstacle for us. So we're in discussions and we're working on that. And then the problem with enterprise customers, and the good thing maybe about enterprise customers is that they have so much special knowledge of their domain and often have like a very old grown infrastructure. And so taking the pieces together and fitting into that organization depends a lot on like how they are set up. And it's not as easy for us to just take what we give makers and they just apply and go. And do the same with enterprises. It's much more involved. But when I can announce something, then we will announce it.
Okay, that makes sense. And I understand. Thank you very much. And I would like to ask if any developer, any enterprises would like to use and test Diode, so they go on your website to download, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So on our website, you can get all the open source stuff. On GitHub, you see like you see the server implementation, you see the Go implementation. Just go there. And if you want to talk about partnering licensing, there's an email as well. But you can also enter just via Telegram or Twitter.
That's great. Okay. Thanks a lot. And I will have a last question, a bit more general for both of you, for Jana and you, Dominic. First. Thank you so much for your presentations. It's very interesting. We learned a lot. Even being in the blockchain, we were not very familiar with blockchain and IoT. And I have generally a general question for the end about blockchain for enterprises. And it has been actually growing fast. And just would like to have your personal point on the future of blockchain for enterprises. Where do you see it growing for the next 1 or 2 years?
Jana, you want to go first?
Jana, can you hear us?
I was muted. Okay, thank you so much. Yeah, for me, I strongly believe in that it will grow in the next 1-2 years, very fast now. With the current situation, a lot of people are thinking about investing. I think the investment is difficult because of the money purposes, but the vision, the dream, and the ideas is there. And maybe a lot of discussions to not convincing, but also to make it clear that it's helpful and makes sense and the ROI is given, then I think can be a really amazing journey the next 2-3 years. Yes, that's my opinion as well. So about this Diode, I have to really check out and to learn a little bit more. So I was curious after the discussion. Really, thank you for the presentation as well to Dominic. It was nice being here as well.
Thank you, Jana. Dominic, will I have your take on this?
Yeah, thank you. I think we will see a move. I think there's going to be, I think we'll get pressure from 2 sides. And one is these continuous attacks. And I'm a little bit afraid though that these big companies are just not going to move because of these attacks. They just like, as long as they can kind of survive it, because it only happens to one company every so often, without adopting, they might actually just stay there. But I think there's actually something else moving behind. and that is the growing national security laws. And whether it's the GDPR or just Brazil, for example, they had something very similar to the GDPR. They released that. It's moving now to like an internet where we see much more national fragmentation. I just tried to go to omaha.com if you're in Europe and try to do that. It's like a news site. They will tell you can't because of GDPR. They just shut down the website for Europe. And we see that. So they need to comply. And I think that the solution there is like a Web3 solution, is a decentralization. Because you get the problem, like right now, if you connect to the internet and use some of these central entities, you always do a decision like under which local law you are. And then you have to comply with that. Right? If you use TCP/IP, like a low-level horizontal technical layer, you don't have to make that decision because it's like a horizontal layer. But if you use like choose a CI or use a DNS server, you have to do that. And I think this is where blockchain can help us, and will eventually have the companies move there. What time frame though is a very interesting question.
I would also like to add some topic because also experience in the big organizations and so on. So the problem is also big organizations. There's a really the knowledge is very decentralized and not centralized in the common sense and understanding how to work together. And the processes are changing very dramatically. So one part of the organization is very excited. They want to change the enterprise immediately, and the other one is very blocking. So this is something where we need more education, learning, training on a more simple part, not so deep technical sometimes, but also to give the people the understanding about the technology itself as well. So it's a balance, but it's a lot. Currently, still, in my opinion, there are still some not well understood concepts behind, and just also the advantages of blockchain, where it really can help to be focused on that. To also is always a hybrid technology, hybrid architecture. Finally, it will be still there. Not everything will move there in one technology. It's a combination of everything. So use the best for the best.
Indeed, yeah, I think the move we are seeing here at Atato and dealing with different industries and implementing blockchain, I think we see a lot of companies coming now. I would say medium-sized company. The big one was the first one to move to experience on blockchain and make some POCs. But now we see middle-sized companies actually investing in blockchain directly because they understand the ROI. And I think it's always nice to start with the return on investment figures. And the growth is going maybe to come from the medium-sized companies. Go ahead.
Also, the big organization, in my opinion, there are still a lot of people they do implementing, and this is the cost point of view. So the cost point of view, how to get the right knowledge, and also the onboarding of externals and to get the knowledge internalized. It's growing very fast. Technology, affinity has to be improved, and the curiosity has to be there. So it's something, a lot of work, I would say. So it's nice.
Indeed. And for the community, any questions? The chat is a bit shy tonight, but anything you want to add, Teresa? Anything from more questions on the chat?
Yeah, I think that's the above information are quite clear, and we will share more about your information to our community, and also BlockPaper will cover one article to mention about tonight's event, and also to mention about the project, what you guys want to achieve, and also what you guys are doing. Thank you.
Thank you, Teresa.
Thank you.
But I think first I would like to thank you both. All of you for joining tonight. Especially from Europe, it was almost a German meetup tonight, but it was for our Bangkok community, Southeast Asia community in some ways, and I personally learned a lot, and thank you very much for that. Always nice to have your experience, and thanks again for all the community. If you need some contacts from all of our presenters, please reach out to us. We will share them with you. And I don't know if you can share the presentation. If it's something that is allowed?
Yeah, please.
Yes,
Yeah,
probably.
and
Yes.
For the one you ask, I will email them to you. And yeah, thank you so much again for tonight. And yeah, see you for the next one, and we'll follow up on IntegrationWorks and Diode.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
also.
Good night.
Thank you,
Thank you.
guys.
Ciao, ciao.
Yeah,
Thanks a
good
lot
night.
very much, Teresa.
Have a
Bye-bye.
good day.
Have a
Bye-bye.
good day.